So, welcome to this podcast. This is something new and unusual for us with Ultimate Athlete Concepts with me and Jeff. Normally we're interviewing different scientists and coaches from around the world that are at the top of their field. We haven't gone way off of that. We've got with us a guest who's at the top of his field, just in the sport specific, and we want to welcome Dale Osbourne from the Portland Trailblazers, who's agreed to talk with us about some stuff he's doing this summer with us and a camp that we have going on. So, Dale, thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to do this. I know it's a hectic schedule, and we really appreciate you taking the time out.
Thanks for having me, yo. Thanks for having me.
So, for those who don't know, we're based in Western Michigan with Ultimate Athlete Concepts. So, about 15 years ago, I was working with a ball player in Grand Rapids, and then Dale happened to be the coach of that team, or assistant coach of that team at that time, the Grand Rapids Hoops, and that's how we met and stayed in touch over a good number of years. And so, what I'd like to do, Dale, I'm going to give them kind of my piece on the history here, and then I'd like you go ahead and fill in the blank. So, we met, and like I said, I was working with a player that ended up playing for the team. That we stayed in touch. Now, I want to give people background on this. Two things. One is Dale has coached at every conceivable level I think that you could think of. So high school, and you correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, Dale. Correct me, and then adding to high school, college, CBA, which was the old Continental Basketball Association, USBL,
yes,
USA Basketball.
Yes.
NBDL.
Yes.
WNBA.
Yes.
And the NBA.
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
No, you haven't. No.
You might be the most, have the most comprehensive resume of any basketball coach in the country. Because I don't know, I can't say that I know of anybody that's coached at every level. I mean, when I say every, leagues that aren't even in business anymore. Those levels too. Right. So he's got the most comprehensive. So, we met, and what was interesting, the way that we met, and then how it evolved was a kind of a mutual respect for what the other one was doing, and what was interesting that I appreciated about Dale. And so before we get into kind of the whole meat of this, as most people know me, and I'm too honest for my own good, but I'm not a big fan of a lot of coaches, and most everybody knows that. That's how I feel. So I'll just say it here too. But Dale is the absolute exception to that. I've never met anybody who has worked as hard and done it the old-fashioned way and really worked his way from the bottom to the top. Now in the NBA, and has earned every step of the way. No doubt about it. Eating a lot of dirt to get in this position where he's at now, coaching at the highest level. And I think, in my opinion, I think he's a heartbeat away from being a head coach here and not the too distant future. And so most guys, they had an NBA career or they're connected. There was no connections here. Dale just worked his butt off at each level. And was successful at each level. And I can tell you that I know from my personal experience, had the respect of the players. Because players talk, and I knew some of them before I even knew Dale. I knew the players, and I knew the players respected him. And then when we dealt with each other as it related to the player that I was working with, I knew that he meant what he said. He said what he meant. He kept his word. He was honest. And you can't say that about a lot of people in pro sports, but it was an anomaly, and so he had my respect because of that. Dale, just for fun, when we met, now tell me the experience. Like right when you guys had, and the player's name was Rob Dye. He played at Bradley. What was that experience like when he first came in there to camp with you guys?
Well, I think what got me going was we had just like Yosef said, we had a player come into camp. His name was Rob Dye. Nice player, really played hard, but we had to cut him in camp. One of the reasons we had to cut him, we didn't feel like he was strong enough. We didn't feel like he was athletic enough. We didn't feel like he was quick enough. But we thought he had a chance to be a pretty decent player. So the following year, the same kid showed up at camp again. He was just a completely different player. much faster, much quicker, much stronger, much more explosive, and he made our team. And come to find out, I had to go to him one day and I said, what happened to you? How did you change your body? How did you become so much more athletic? How did you become quicker and explosive? He's like, I've been working with a local guy right there in my hometown named Joseph Johnson. And I was just amazed at how much better he got. And Rob helped us win a championship because he was on a really good team, and he was a really good basketball player. And he had a chance to introduce me to Joseph, and I told Joseph there from day one, I really respect the work that he did with Rob. And that's how I got to know Joseph. And Joseph, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that I was coaching in the USBL probably 12 to 15 years ago. So it's been that long since I've known you.
Absolutely, yeah. So when you went down to I think what happened was when Rob played there, then the following year you were going to Gary. So he kind of followed you a little bit.
Right.
And I know you were doing a gig in the USBL with Dodge City. He
Right.
came down there and played for you 2 years, maybe? 2 seasons?
Played 2 years for me. Helped us win a championship in the USBL.
Yeah. So the connection kind of stuck for a while because of Rob.
Right. Exactly.
And then after that, after Rob stopped playing, we just kind of stayed connected the whole time. I was always a huge fan of your career. I was pulling for your promotion all the time because I just thought you were a guy that deserved it. And like I said, I don't say that about very many people. Anybody knows me knows I don't. I was just the way that you treated the situation with Rob and I was phenomenal and genuine and honest, and I appreciated that. So and the other thing I got to say, coaches typically at the high levels and the low levels drink their own Kool-Aid. They definitely think they're normally the smartest guy in the room normally, and Dale's as humble and as genuine as anybody that I know. And like I said, I've never met anybody more so with more integrity. So with this in mind now, so we're talking over the course of years. We just every now and then he'd call me, hey man, you know anybody hiring job situations, might be changing, he never knew. So we would just be chatting, and sometimes I might hear about something. Hey Dale, I heard about something, that kind of thing. And then about 4 years ago, when I heard he got signed with Portland, called to congratulate him. Obviously, I was so happy for him. And then in the interim, my business partner, Joe Kelm, had developed this basketball league in Muskegon for guys that were beyond high school, college age, and it was going really well. And then he wanted to do, do something that was bigger. So they invited Chris Broussard of ESPN to come and speak to the guys and to just kind of help engage them, because as a lot of people know, in Western Michigan, especially in the Muskegon area, violence had gotten really out of hand. I mean, per capita, the violence had gotten really crazy per capita. There was murders happening at least every 2 weeks in the summertime. And people don't realize this, you're talking like 9 to 10 square miles. It's not a big area where this was happening, right? And so he wanted to do something to stem the violence. So the next year, he's like, well, I don't know what we're going to do this year. And I said, I think I got somebody. Let me call Dale and see if he would be interested in doing this. And so what we did was we organized a basketball camp for kids as a way to kind of combat this stuff. And we do it in a faith-based way. And so Dale came, and it was an absolute success. We scholarshiped a lot of kids, and it worked. It really worked well. And everybody that came and worked for free, and there was no money made. But it was a great success. So if you would, Dale, what was that experience like for you coming the first time and kind of not knowing what you were getting into?
Right. Well, I was happy to get the call from Joseph and Joe, and I think God has put on my heart as a coach in the last 15 years, like coaching basketball is also a ministry for me. So when Joe and Joseph called me and told me about the situation, I said I would love to do it. And I think the message is always simple for me: God first, family second, education third. So whenever we have the opportunity to talk to these young kids at these camps, we tell them to keep God first, stick close to your family, pay mom and dad respect, and get a good quality education. After that, it can be football, basketball, or whatever. but we like to use basketball since I'm a basketball coach and Joseph and Joe are basketball fans and they run a great camp up there. We decided to use basketball as the tool to bring kids into this camp, and then we just talk about some important things. And the three most important things again are God, family, and education.
Exactly. Jeff, do you got his photo or his video still? Did you lose it? Hey, Dale, do you still got your video up on yours?
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Okay. And he can edit that out. So, and I got to say, when you came, it was a smashing success. It really was. And a lot of kids, and a lot of people don't realize this, different television networks came and covered it. Different newspapers came and covered it. And we had a kid the first year who came and was an at-risk kid because I think he was on a tether, house arrest.
Right.
And you met him. What was, if you would, talk about that.
The kid, he stood out because obviously he had the tether on his ankle. And I called him over and sat him down, and we just had a long talk. And he told me he was going down the wrong road, hanging with the wrong crowd. Things wasn't as well as home as he would like. But I just said, just say your prayers tonight. Keep God first. Be respectful to your family. Hang out with the right people, and get a good quality education. And we just kept hammering that to him the day or two that he was there. And last year when I came out there, he was doing so much better. He was staying out of trouble. He was doing much better in school. He said things are great at home. And to my understanding, the young man's got a football scholarship to this day. And he said one of the reasons why he got the football scholarship, it was because of the camp. And again, it's not because of me, but it was just the message of God, family, and education.
Absolutely.
And that's what we preach to these kids in camp. And we just think that's just an important. When Joseph and Joe called me and said the camp was faith-based, I was like, wow, that's great. I would definitely like to be a part of it. And in all honesty, it lit a fire under me because now I'm doing one through my church here in Portland, and I'm also going to do one in the beginning of August at my old high school down in Ocala, Florida. So those guys, Joe and Joseph, are really, it was always on my heart to do something like that. But those guys, they had the foundation and the base, and they called me in, and those two guys were the ones who really got me started on it. And I appreciate those guys for that move to this day.
Well, I tell you what, we can't articulate the blessing that you have been to everybody that you came in contact with there. And I really mean that. The number of people who have come back after you and said, wow, that was really, fantastic. What a wonderful thing for him to do. You touched a number of different kids. You sometimes, I guess as adults, we forget this, but man, the role that you're in, man, that's huge.
Right.
To a kid, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, you know what I mean? They know that you sit next to Damian Lillard all the time or CJ McCollum, and CJ and Damian listen to you. So they know, wow, it's like a superhero almost. And and the kids, and it was huge. I can't tell you what a difference. I remember Joe telling me, he's like, man, these kids are walking on cloud nine after the camp, and they got some memorabilia and all that stuff, and they just thought it was the best thing in the world. And more importantly than that, though, like what you just mentioned, a lot of kids, not just that young man, but a lot of kids, it affected their day-to-day life, which is what we're really worried about, because, that violence thing in late teens, it starts in early years. Obviously that whole mentality, street mentality, starts much younger, and so we wanted to target them young kids, 10, 11, 12, in the early teens, and I think what they needed to see was that somebody at a high level, something that they perceive, as being really a big deal, has God first, family second, education third. And seeing that that's really a real thing. It's not just something, that is talked about. It's a real thing with someone at the real high level. And Damien, a lot of these guys, like you said, go to chapel before games and things like this, and they keep those principles in their life too.
Right.
And even though you don't hear about it all the time, not as much. And I want to tell people this as well. So Dale gets here the first year, and he said, we had already agreed in advance to pay him, and for obvious reasons. And he says, I can't take you guys' money. And I said, you're crazy. You're taking the money. don't know where you thought you were at, but this gangster over here, you're going to take the money. And he actually stared us down, but we made him agree to bring the family. And I got to mention that too, because they were an absolute blessing too. Loved having the kids and Nicole come. And I hope I'm not overstepping here, Dale, but I want everybody to know the commitment level that you've shown to this. You know, we brought the kids last year, and they had a good time. And you know, when in the wintertime when you told me that your wife was sick,
right.
You know, as far as I was concerned, okay, well, we're going to take a year off at least. You know,
right.
That's the winter. You know, that's not going to be the case. And so I didn't. I just, you know, we didn't even make any plans. And then you call. I think you must call me in May, early May.
Right.
You're like, well, when's the camp? What the dates? I'm like, are you out of your mind?
Right.
And just, I think the thing that's important is the incredible level of commitment by not only you, but by Nicole, your wife, and everybody in the situation with the kids. You know, that's just, it's amazing to me.
Right.
It really is. And I mean, we're beyond humbled that, you know, you can still take the time to do this, and that Nicole supports that, and you know, and the kids are excited. But I tell you what, just amazing to me. It really is, because I don't know what I would do in the same situation. So I want everybody to know the level of commitment that you have towards this is beyond 100%. And there's no really reason for you to. There's really no reason for you to. You don't owe anybody here anything. So you're so appreciated. You know, it's hard to say. With this year, you know, what we want to do is we want to let people know what we're doing. You know, you're going to learn some basketball.
Absolutely.
You're going to learn more life lessons.
Right.
And there's going to be a few little pieces of NBA memorabilia that are going to be available for some kids.
Right.
With the basketball aspect of it, Dale, you know, obviously, you know, every kid in the world thinks they're going to be in the NBA. It's not going to happen. You know, there's only 300 and some players in the league. Beyond that, getting I think just some basic instruction in basketball, though, it kind of brings it together. You know, they learn some ideas, some concepts, and because they're coming from an NBA coach, you know, it resonates, it carries weight. But obviously, then the life lesson goes beyond that. So I want to encourage anybody watching. You know, what we're doing now is we're making it available for people to sponsor a kid. So what we had people sponsor kids last year. It's basically $40 a kid to come to the camp. Those that are not scholarship.
Right.
And if anyone out there would like to scholarship a player, it's just $40, and you can get a hold of us on our website at info@ultimateathleteconcepts.com. And Dale, what would be anything you'd like to say, like to anybody who might be thinking about coming, or somebody who would think about sponsoring a kid? What would you say to them?
Well, Yossi, just like you said, it's a positive message. It's about life lessons. Again, we want to get the word. We want to get the message across about God, family, and education. And also, we want to have a really good basketball camp. Last year, you guys did a great job of hiring, of getting a commitment from a local high school basketball coach there, who I thought did an outstanding job. And to my knowledge, he's going to do it again.
Yes.
I'll be there again, and I'm working on getting some special guests to come in too. But the camp is going to be exceptional. The $40 is not a lot to ask for 2 days of really good basketball and a positive message. There will be some nice prizes there for the kids, but just a good positive message, just to keep encouraging kids to stay on the right path and do the right thing. Again, we use basketball as a tool, because that's what I am. I'm a basketball coach. But the main message is God, family, and education. After that, it can be basketball, football, volleyball, whatever you choose to do. But we just want to send a positive message, since it's a faith-based basketball camp, about God, family, and education. All is welcome. If you can help sponsor a kid, it's great. Again, we're not asking for a lot, but it's just a great camp, and a lot of people, I know my name has been tossed out there, but Joseph and Joe, those are guys who deserve all the credit because those are guys who built this up out of their own pocket to get this thing started. I'm happy to be a part of it. It's a blessing for me to come there, really. My wife was sick. It's a ministry for me, and I told her, she's feeling a lot better now, and I told her I wanted to do it because it's a ministry for me, and I've been blessed by those guys because they've made me look at myself and say, hey, you know what, I need to start doing the same thing. So,
well,
all the welcome to the camp.
Yeah, and like I said, the value that you bring is unbelievable. And I gotta give the correct credit too. The credit goes to Joe. Joe he built this from the ground up, and put the time in, and because we're business partners, we were able to put some of the money in, but he's done far and away the most work, and really built this thing from the ground up by himself without my help initially. And then I kind of jumped in and went along for the ride. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's really a huge effort on his part, and totally selfless. Put his own money in, put company money in, and to put this thing together. And so it really, I tell you, it just has a great vibe to it, because that there's no motives in it when anybody, with everybody that's involved, there's no other motive.
Right.
It's just
Right.
it's just to do. I grew up here. And
Right.
my brother did 13 years in prison being a violent criminal. And,
Right.
I come from a family of criminals, both my parents and
Right.
my other siblings. So what we're talking about isn't something I don't know about. I live right in the middle of it, and my family's affected by it, a great deal. So,
Right.
it's as close to home as it can get. And if you're going to be doing anything, I think of any substance, you start right where you live first,
Right.
and right where the need is. And I think that's what's most significant. So there's no kid that's going to come that'll be disappointed at all.
Right.
You're going to meet an
Exactly.
NBA coach. You might meet, and you're going to meet at least, I think, one other ex-NBA player, Cliff Livingston. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
Who won at least one title. He won at least one title with Michael Jordan and the Bulls.
I think he might have maybe two.
Might have won two. I think you're right.
Right.
He was in there on them first three. I can't remember how many he got, but he was there. I know that.
Right.
And
Right.
So yeah, he's going to come for sure. And we might possibly have some other guys come that are at the NBA level as well. So nobody's going to be disappointed. We'll probably get at least one good Michael Jordan story out of him. And and I know you always, and you had some great stories for the kids too, stuff I didn't know, and I was amazed by. Every time we talk, you got a good one for me, because the NBA is like a different planet to the rest of the world. So listen, I want to thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Looking forward to seeing you in 4 weeks, and having the kids come. And so anybody who's watching, this is definitely worth checking out and being a part of. And if you want to be a part of volunteering in any way, just let us know. Thanks a lot, Dale. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. See you later, yo.